Let's talk about one of the very important concepts in general and which has been quite effectively embraced in React: imperative and declarative styles of programming. Imperative programming means telling the computer on exactly how to do something, and declarative programming means telling the computer on what would we like to do and leave the part of how to do it to some library or other functions. At this point, you might ask yourself, what are you talking about? The above statement doesn't make any sense. I always tell my computer or program on how to do things. To understand about declarative and imperative styles, let's look at some real world analogy. Let's assume that I am waiting for an email to arrive in my Gmail account. There are two ways I can check if email has arrived or not. First way would be, I go to my browser, log into my Gmail account, check if email has arrived. If not, keep refreshing my email account repeatedly after some regular intervals to check if I got any mail. This is very much imperative style because I'm telling my computer every next step that I want to do so that it will show me if I got some mail. Second way would be to install a Gmail app on my mobile and log in once. Make sure inbox notifications are enabled. Then whenever I get an email, I'll automatically get a notification from my Gmail app. Same I can do it on desktops also. This is what the declarative style is. All we just did was, for once we informed our app that we are interested in getting notified about our emails, and it keeps pushing in the notifications whenever they come. Here we don't need to repeatedly look into our inbox for newer emails. That's very comfortable, right? And that's where the declarative style beats imperative style: simplicity and elegance. In imperative style, we tell how exactly we want to achieve the result. But in declarative style, we actually say what result we want to get or what exactly we want to do. And the abstraction like Gmail app in this case just knows how to do it. Let's just look at one more real world analogy. Then we will jump right over to how imperative and declarative programming looks like in code. Let's say I need a desktop that should have the specifications of 8 GB RAM, 256 GB SSD hard drive and Intel i7 quad-core processor. There are two ways that I can get a computer of my spec. First way would be an imperative way, where I can order individual parts from Amazon, like buy a 8 GB RAM, buy a 256 GB SSD hard drive, a CPU cabinet, an Intel i7 quad-core processor and a motherboard, all parts separately. Once I have all the parts, I will assemble these parts together to create my desktop. That's very much imperative style. I am the one who is deciding on how to create a desktop, given I know how to do that. So here we are telling on how to do something. Same thing I can do in declarative way by just searching for desktops on Amazon and providing filters according to my requirement. And Amazon just knows what desktops are available with my matched specs and displays them to me. In declarative way, I'm just telling what I want, and in this case, Amazon just knows how to do things for me. Now you might notice that imperative style provides much more flexibility. I can take RAM from X company, hard drive from Y company, cabinet from Z company, and so on. And I can assemble these different parts as I would like to. In declarative way, we have limited choices. We would have to rely on desktops available on Amazon or any other e-commerce store that match our specs. Even though imperative way provides us flexibility, most of the time I might not want flexibility. Actually, I don't need to know how to assemble a desktop in order to use it. I don't have to know how to do something, but I just want to say what would I want to have. So imperative way provides us the flexibility, but brings in some complexity. Whereas declarative style provides us simplicity and hides complexity. But in some cases, it may not solve what exactly we wanted to. Both the approaches are important, but always prefer declarative way if you don't need any flexibility. Declarative style is just telling what we want to achieve or do something, but not how to achieve. Whereas imperative style tells how we want to achieve or do something. I hope it makes a little bit of sense now. Alright, let's now talk about imperative and declarative programming. Let's look at a very trivial problem now. Given an array of numbers, we need to create another array that has numbers twice of the given array, keeping the order of elements intact. Let's say I have numbers array containing 1, 2, 3, and I want the resultant array double numbers to contain twice of each element in my numbers array. So effectively I want it to have 2, 4, 6. Okay, we can solve this problem in two ways. One way is imperative and the other way is declarative way. Let's see how it can be done imperatively. This is the crunch of logic here. Here we are saying that I want you to create a variable I and initialize it with 0 and check if I has crossed the total array length. If not, then I want you to run the body. Inside the loop, multiply numbers of I by 2 and push it into an array double numbers. Then I want you to increment I and run the loop body as long as all the numbers inside my numbers array are processed or covered. By doing this, our double numbers array will be filled with 246. This is the imperative way of doing it. Let's see how we can do the same in declarative way. Again, this is the crunch of logic over here. By invoking .map here, we are telling it, can you just iterate over each item in my numbers array and trigger my callback function with each item one by one and store the return value into a new array before assigning the final computed array to my double numbers over here. With this again, we get our double numbers array filled with 246. So we'll get the same result using two different methodologies. If you observe, in imperative programming, we are telling each and every step to the program, like how we want to iterate over an array, that is increment by 1, and how to push a computed value into a new array, that is use .push over our resultant array, like this. So we are in fact saying how to perform each and every step to store the computed values in our resultant array. Whereas in declarative programming, we only tell what is our main objective, that is just to double the numbers. So we tell the computer only the minimal thing, which is for each number in our numbers array, we return a new value that is twice of the existing value through the callback, and that's it. We leave the rest to our map function. It knows how to iterate over an array. It also knows how to push an item into the new array, and finally returns a computed array. So we are just telling our computer what is our main objective here and what should be the end result. Iterating over all the items of an array and constructing a new array is one of the most common patterns that we'll see, especially in front-end development. So instead of us iterating over an array, we converted this pattern to a higher level API or abstraction called map. For starters, map function is a kind of abstraction that knows how to iterate over an array and push items into the new array before returning the computed array. From our side, we just need to tell that abstraction what particularly needs to be pushed into the new array, and map will take care of everything else. That's why we created these utility functions and libraries like underscore, lodash, etc. Instead of doing the same thing again and again, we use these patterns, functions, and abstractions to help us do what we want to, rather than we worrying about how to do something. With declarative programming, writing less code and logic is just a bonus apart from better readability. One final thing here, smaller code doesn't necessarily mean readable code. Predictable behavior, easier and simpler abstractions, familiarity and declarative code, all these leads to a good readable and maintainable code. So if you look at the overall picture, with map or declarative style, we get to write less error prone, compact and more readable code, corresponding to its counterpart raw for loop in imperative style. Now that you know what declarative style of coding is, let's now look at how React embraces it in the next section.